been everything.
It's been like a great experience.
I had the opportunity to have a mentor who helped me get my confidence back, but also pushing me and really holding me accountable for things that we talked about.
It's been very educational. He lets me know what the new trends are in content marketing.
Having someone outside of my company who can give me like a fresh perspective on like how I'm working on things or why certain things failed or can be better the next time around has really helped me grow as a content strategist.
What I have truly enjoyed is the opportunity to be able to both give and receive from the relationship.
The program's great. I get a lot of value out of it. I'm workshopping my own challenges as well as theirs. I was coming up with a new business model, and I called up one of my mentees and I said, hey, can I just run this by you? Because I'm not sure, and I'd like to get your take on it. So it's very much a two-way street.
It's probably one of those little known things that CMI offers that can make a huge difference for the people who are involved in it.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It's Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. Thank you for joining me for this Ask the CM World community live stream, where each time we dive into a new topic with an awesome member of our CM World community. Today's live stream is brought to you by the Content Marketing Institute. If you don't know who we are the leading training and education organization for, you guessed it, all things content marketing. So you can head over to contentmarketinginstitute.com for all kinds of resources and educational content. And I wanted to mention we just opened our call for speakers for our signature event, Content Marketing World. So you can head over to contentmarketingworld.com and find more info for that. If you love speaking about content marketing, we'd love to have you at our event in September. And if you have any ideas or topics for this live stream, please let me know in the comments. That's one of the reasons that we decided to have today's live stream, because we had a great conversation going on our Slack channel with our community, with all the layoffs and everyone wanting to help their colleagues, etc. So speaking of that, it seems like every day you see news about more layoffs, or maybe you see someone in your LinkedIn feed who has lost a job. Maybe you're one of those unfortunate folks who's unexpectedly undergoing a job search this year, or you're just a little bit nervous about your own job security, or maybe you're like me, and even though you feel pretty secure in your job, you're wondering if there are things you could be doing to beef up your resume just in case. Well, today we'll hopefully give you all some career and job guidance that can help. So as always, as you're joining me today, give me a virtual wave, say hello, let me know where you're joining us from, ask questions, make comments. It always makes for a more engaging live stream when we hear from all of you. And I am going to kick off today's live stream with our question of the day. So if you've gone through a layoff in the past, what is some advice that you've gotten that you found helpful? We'd love to hear from you and share your perspective with other members of our community. Hello, Marie. Hello, Andy. Thank you both for joining us today. All right, I am very excited about today's guests and about this discussion, and I'm hoping that we can help any of you out there who are looking for a job. And joining me today to chat about this is JT O'Donnell. I've been following her for quite a few years. She left corporate America and the staffing and recruiting industry 20 years ago to hop on the other side and become an advocate for the worker. Today, she's the founder and CEO of Work It Daily, which is one of the largest online coaching companies in the world. Hello, JT. Thank you for joining me.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
And also joining me today is Amy Vaughan, as the owner and CEO of Together Digital, where she desires to create positive change in personal and professional lives of others. Before that, Amy worked for 14 years as an award-winning creative director, where she did work for brands like Ford, Pringles, Febreze, and more. So hello, Amy.
Hey, thanks for having me, Amanda.
We have people joining us from all over here. We have Bridget from Chicago, Lupita from San Francisco. We have Cheryl. Thank you all. Carrie as well. And Lavinia from Toronto. She said, best advice. Let me pop this up here. The best advice. Oh, that's the wrong one. This is from Amy. She's weirdly passionate about taking the stigma out of layoffs. For advice, make sure you always nurture your network so you have support system when you find yourself laid off. Here we go, Lavinia. Sorry about that. Best advice was to pursue my passion and not just look to have a job. We were just talking about that before this. That's why I have changed careers into marketing. So yes, thank you for sharing your perspective. All right, let's get started. JT, what are your suggestions for the very first thing you should do when you're laid off or let go? For instance, I saw someone who literally, she got the call and 30 minutes later, she was on LinkedIn telling people she was available. But if it's someone like me, I might need a little more time to process what's going on. So what are your thoughts?
I think it's really important for you to take that time. You want to grieve. It's an unexpected loss. And when you have that happen, you have to take a breath. However long that is for you, whether it's 30 minutes or maybe a couple of days, it's good. But I wouldn't say let it last too long, right? Because you can't change it. It's happened. It's time to look forward. So, feel it, go through the emotions, but then resolve yourself that this is an opportunity. I'm not going to be say, hey, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to you. But I will tell you that in my 20 years of doing this, most of the time people end up in a new position and they say, this turned out better than I expected. I would have never come across this opportunity if this change wasn't forced upon me. So think of it that way. Know that a lot of other people have ended up on the better side of it and get ready to move forward.
That's great advice. Yes, I've seen that a lot too as well. Let's see. Marie says she was laid off 10 days ago and she's job searching. So she's one of the many folks here. So hopefully we can help. All right. The other thing about this career search, especially if you haven't done it in a while, it's daunting. It's exhausting. We were talking about from 3 months to 6 months. It's now getting longer to find a new job. So for those who haven't had to look for in years, the process with LinkedIn, with online sites, are resumes and cover letters even a thing anymore? So, where do we start when it comes to resumes, job search, JT?
So I like to start with the data, which is studies show less than 3% of the people that apply online ever hear back. So my first piece of advice is if you think that job search is just going online and applying to as many jobs as possible, it's actually not job search anymore. Applicant tracking systems, which is what companies use to gather that data. There are over 100 different types. They all require different things. And almost every company is using one because they're getting inundated with applicants, especially now when you've had massive layoffs. To give you an idea, we've had more layoffs in the tech sector in the second half of 2022 than we did in the entire Great Recession of 2008. So the market's flooded with talent and everyone's doing the same thing. They're all applying online and they're not hearing back. So what you need to do and learn is something called a disruptive job search. And that's where you're learning to go around the applicant tracking systems and actually target and connect with the employers that can hire for your skill set. So a couple things that we have people do is come up with a bucket list. So what are 10 or 20 companies that hire for your skill set that you would love to work for, and get very clear on your why. Not because you heard they're a great place to work and they've got great benefits, but what is it about them that you've come to learn is different and special? And it's really important that you do that you take that extra step and say, what is my connection to this employer? And I'll tell you why, because it's going to make your networking easier. It's going to make tailoring your resume, updating your resume clearer. And you ask the question, are cover letters a thing? While most people claim they aren't a thing, I would beg to differ. One of the best things you can do right now is learn to write a disruptive cover letter, a cover letter where you tell your story about why you are connected to this employer, why what they do is better, different, why you love their customer base, whatever it is, share the story. Because when there's that much talent out there, you can't claim that you're better than anyone else. You have the same skills as everybody else, but what you have is internal motivation to do the job for them. So you've got to share that story with them. And when you can get that story in someone's hands at an organization, you would be amazed at what happens. And we're coaching people every day on this, and they're messaging us saying, my disruptive cover letter just got me an interview at my dream employer. The recruiter just called me and said it was the best cover letter they'd ever read. So, don't believe recruiters when they say that they don't read cover letters. They don't read outdated cover letters, but they will read your story, your connection story. And so doing that requires a lot more intentional thought and more proactiveness in your job search.
I think that content marketers are probably pretty good at telling a story.
Thank you. Yes, you are absolutely right. This plays to your strengths.
Right. As Andy says, everyone says cover letters are out, but I feel that is the best way to get my personality in front of the recruiter. And then Carrie says, my best advice is to know your value and what you will bring to the org so you're not defending your resume in interviews. I love that as well. All right, Amy, just as the job hunt in general has changed a little bit, content marketing has changed over the years. So for those specifically looking for a job in content marketing, what are some skills or training should we, be brushing on or learn more about to help in our search?
I mean, it depends on what you're specializing in. Obviously, there's plenty of places to look, free and inexpensive resources out there, thankfully. So some of our member favorites from Together Digital are Content Marketing World Institute, obviously. HubSpot, you can get a lot of free or low-cost training. LinkedIn even has a number of options for you to, do some training and coaching. I think what's important, though, is that you don't try to boil the ocean. You're trying to look for a job and brush up on skills. And so I think it's really pertinent that you, take JT's advice to heart and really do think about the kind of work that you want to be doing, not just where, but the kind of work that you really want to be doing, what lights you up, what do people come to you specifically for, so that when you are taking training, certifications, anything at all, that time is money, even though you're not getting paid. It's, so I think you need to be really intentional and make careful choices about the things that you're brushing up on, and don't overwhelm yourself with a job search and gathering a list of certifications. I think if you can kind of specialize and focus on some things, brush up. Google's also another great resource for online training. We have a number, they're not certifications, but we've got a whole library of workshops, for everything from, back-end development to learning how to set up your G4 from Google Analytics Universal, things like that. So I think if you know specifically what it is that you need to brush up on, which is an important part of the job search, then get very focused. And there's a number of resources out there where you can find training for that specifically.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like when I was looking for a new job 10 years ago, making a switch to marketing, I took a class in I don't know, Google Analytics or something. And it was nothing that I would ever have. And I was like, why did I, so I was not intentional about what I was going to be taking the time to be like, what am I going to do next? It made no sense, but I took this
That's
course.
the struggle with digital though, right? That's the struggle with digital and marketing, is it is all intersected. So we don't, it's important for us to know and understand how everything works together, but that doesn't mean you have to understand the nuts and bolts of everything. And, my experience obviously is working with a lot of women in this space. And so a lot of them tend to feel as if they need to be the expert on everything versus niching down and really kind of owning an aspect of what they do excel at and where they're a subject matter expert. And then they just end up burning themselves out. And you don't need to do that on top of looking for a job.
Right. That's great advice. All right. One of the important things these days that will, I think, make a tremendous difference in your job search is building up, which marketers know this, your own personal brand. So what are some things marketers can or should consider doing to get their name out there? JT, let's start with you.
Well, first, let me just back up and say that Amy just gave the money advice, which is the most important advice about specialization. You need to be a specialist, not a generalist, right? Not a Jack or Jill of all trades. I want you to think of it this way. If you needed heart surgery, would you go to the heart surgeon or the general practitioner? The heart surgeon. Well, employers right now, they're not hiring you because they like you. They're hiring you because you save or make the money. So to Amy's point, sit down and ask yourself, not just what do I like to do, but how does that save or make the company enough money to justify the cost of hiring me? And to give you an idea, it costs about 130 to 140% of your salary. So figure that out and then be ready to talk about that, which leads into my advice around networking. LinkedIn has pivoted itself into a creator tool. LinkedIn is now becoming a true social media platform. In fact, there's a mode you can turn on called creator mode. I would strongly suggest all of you turn that on because the algorithm is then looking at you for the content that you share. And what you should do is think about that specialty that Amy's talking about, whether you dial on in some certifications or experience you already have. Start speaking to that in your feed. Find articles, find videos, find anything relative. Start to curate content that shows you know what you know, because you wouldn't know to bring that content into your feed and share it with your audience if you weren't smart enough to do that. So share your point of view. What did you like about it? What do you disagree with it? And be sure to be really consistent. If you can get to posting once a day in LinkedIn, you're going to fill your feed with this valuable content. Also learn to hashtag and hashtag in your areas of expertise. Why? Because recruiters are looking for you. In this market, a lot of recruiters are not going to bother to post jobs online because they don't want to get 1,000 applicants in a single day and they don't want to have to look through 1,000 applicants. Instead, they're going to use LinkedIn to actively search for talent. And the algorithm is going to rank you higher in the search results if you've got creator mode on and if you're curating content in your space. So make sure your profile is updated, but start using LinkedIn. And I promise you, you're going to see recruiters reaching out to you and saying, we have this job, it's not posted. And that's how you tap into that hidden job market, which becomes really big in times like these.
What are your thoughts, Amy, on building your personal brand?
Yeah, of course. I love LinkedIn. It's an awesome tool for building your brand. Definitely have leveraged it a ton. Owning and running a business now, living and existing mostly virtual, as a lot of us have been. But networking is 110% absolutely essential. If you are job searching and you're not networking, you're not working on building your personal brand. People need to meet you and know you and kind of see that consistency, that continuity with what you say and what you do. And that can't always happen unless they get that chance to meet you in person. So I know people are slowly working their way towards in-person events again. I know we're working towards that at Together Digital. There's some people that are like ready and others who aren't. And some people that make I get it. Networking sometimes makes me sick to my stomach, but it's relationship building. It's establishing your own personal brand. And I'm going to share some advice that actually came from one of my former podcast guests and a woman who is going to be hosting a workshop on branding your career at our virtual job fair coming up a month from today for Together Digital, is that you need to build a personality brand. Don't just make it a personal brand. Don't just make it about what you do for work, because there's going to be a lot of other people applying and a lot of other people out there positioning themselves as experts. So in order for you to really start to stand out, think about what your passions are outside of work. And people have a hard time, I think, sometimes drawing those things together. But you can actually find that maybe you are an endurance athlete. Talking about your love for endurance sports and your work ethic go hand in hand. Talking about, I talk a lot about groundedness and nature and empathetic leadership. Those all things kind of, to me, tie together because I like to be very grounded in the way that I lead and very calm in the way that I approach difficult times and situations. And that's become part of my personal brand. And that's what people know me for. And that's what people will come to you for. So I think learning how to really marry a little bit of who you are outside of work and what you want to do for work can go a long way. And then absolutely, it's not always what you know, it's who you know. Network with everybody that you could possibly network with and do it in a way that's intentional and meaningful and meant to build relationships and not just get a job, because they're going to know that. They're going to sniff it out. And that's why people hate networking. But if you are looking to provide help and value, as JT just said, if you're writing posts and sharing thoughts, create some thought leadership, add value out there into the world, and that value will come back to you.
I love the personality brand. That probably saves some time in the interview process, right? If you're telling people about yourself. So if they already know, it's already out there and they can learn and feel like they know you a little bit better.
And they know some of your story, and knowing some of your story is that's what sticks in our minds, right? That's how our brains work, is based on stories. So if they have a story about you, they're going to connect to you even virtually so much faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to say your name because I'm going to butcher it. But greetings from Portugal. My advice is to work on your personal brands, to choose 1 or 2 networks or channels, nurture the community, build your public while you tell your story, share your perspective. That is great advice as well. We have a lot of great comments coming up here. And I'm going to go back to this quick question here. What is your advice for someone who does not have a background in content marketing? I've completed my digital marketing certificate, but I don't have any work experience. Amy, what would you say to that person?
You're not alone. Everybody starts somewhere. There's a number of ways in which you can go about this. Is looking to gain experience either through a paid internship or a co-oping type of job. You could also look for small, independently owned and operated businesses that need support in content marketing to begin to build your portfolio. I'd say even if your end goal is full-time, don't be afraid to consider short-term freelance projects so that you can begin to build that book, that resume, because that's what people are looking for. Is they just don't want to see what you've learned in school. They want to see how you've executed it. Being a former creative director myself, I totally get it. You know, you get out of school, you've got all this great knowledge and experience, not experience yet. And so people are like, well, what have you done? So I think a little bit is being scrappy and being really creative. Also in the way that you market yourself, position yourself, promote yourself is also could be a great case study for what you can do for a brand when you can brand yourself and, communicate what you do well.
And this question, JT, can we pitch an idea in a cover letter?
You absolutely can. So when we talk about writing disruptive cover letters, we're talking about actually subtitles. So dear hiring team, I remember the first time I fell in love with your product, ... right? So if you want to pitch an idea in there, you could, I think you want to keep it short, impactful, again, bolded statements and say, hey, I'd love to discuss this and share more. But yeah, most definitely. Most important thing I would say is when you're sending a disruptive cover letter, keep the email or the message really short. So if you're reaching out to them on LinkedIn, say, hey, encloses the story of why I'm so passionate about your company, encloses the story of why I think this idea might actually work, hint at what's going to happen. And I'm speaking to content marketers, so I know they know what I'm talking about, but you want to keep it really simple so you can get them to open it.
All right. So even JT, if I'm feeling secure in my job, as I said earlier, it's probably a good idea to prepare just in case, because you never know what's going to happen, especially this year. So what are some things at the bare minimum, I guess I should be doing? Keeping my resume up to date, LinkedIn, like what should I be doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the most important thing. It's time to go back and take a look at the resume and get it updated in one of the later formats, but also then take that information and translate it over to LinkedIn. I'm going to give you an example. Recruiters really pay attention to the resume and LinkedIn, the work history section. They don't want to see 2 different things. They should be identical. Otherwise, they're confused as to which one's accurate. So there's some things that you want to do and have on the ready should something happen. But once you've done that, again, it really goes back to what Amy and I have been talking about is building out that brand and letting people know what you're about. It takes people anywhere, 10 to 17 times. You all could give me the accurate statistic for an idea to really stick with them. So if you were all to go out right now, and this is a great test, if you're all to go out right now and say to your entire network, send back to me in 1 sentence what you think I do for work, I think you would be shocked at how few people could actually tell you. Right? The people that have worked with you in the past, maybe, but people outside that network. So you have to think about that and say, what can I start doing on a consistent basis from a storytelling format that will help people understand why I'm passionate about what I do, why I love what I do. And it doesn't matter what experience level you have, you could be filling your feed and sharing and serving, as Amy pointed out, your network with information. You're not trying to act like a guru or a know-it-all. You're just trying to share thoughts and ideas and drive conversation that will help people remember you. So that's one of the most important things I'd be doing right now.
And JT, I don't know if we just talked about this before, but Nilesh wants to know, what is the best platform to get freelancing projects? And you were just telling us about a platform.
I was. So full disclosure, I am partnering with a company that I absolutely love. I've been working with them for over a year, but they're so worth checking out. I believe in them. They're called contra.com. And it's a portfolio platform that also matches you with jobs with employers. What I love about them is that it costs nothing to you in terms of the transactions. So you can build out your transactions on there and do your contracts, your proposals, payments, everything through them. They also have a very cool portfolio feature. So you can, jazz up your portfolio on their page, which is $12 a month. It's very inexpensive. But what I like about them is they've been very supportive of fair wage. So what they've done is made sure that it isn't flooded so that people are having to lower their hourly rates and become overly competitive, like on some other sites that we know, where all of a sudden you're competing and you can't make an honest wage. So I would strongly check out Contra.
All right. Now, finally, let's get to this question. So a lot of people, like I said, we had this on our Slack community. You might have a colleague or a peer who has just been laid off. What are some ways maybe you can help support him or her in the job search? Amy, let's start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the best things you can do right away is just start asking for recommendations on LinkedIn. You can go online and you can make those requests directly through LinkedIn. You get to read them and approve them before they go out there. I have been in a situation where I was laid off. I didn't have to ask. Actually, all my coworkers were amazing and dropped a whole load of them. I'm like, well, if it's not obvious I got laid off, it is now. But I think asking for those recommendations is important. Just asking for what it is that you need, even if that's like time to just sit and vent or brainstorm or process what it is that your next steps need to be. Don't be afraid to look for help, support, mentorship, whatever that might be.
JT, what about you?
Yeah. So if you've been laid off, the one advice is to be very specific about your ask. So I wouldn't suggest a blanket ask. I wouldn't suggest sending 100 messages out and say, hey, everybody, I just got laid off if you know of anything. That's like asking, hey, I'm single. Can you introduce me to someone? You're going to get a lot of
right.
Just putting it out there. So you want to show that you know what you want, you know what your value is, everything we've been talking about today. Craft a letter that says, hey, I've been let go. Here are 10 companies that are on my bucket list. This is the kind of work I love doing. If you know one person at this company or a company similar to it, would you introduce me? That specificity, anyone can help. And it'll immediately put people into action. Oh, I know one person. But when you blanket and it's so open-ended, it overwhelms people and they usually don't help. On the flip side, if you do know somebody that's been let go, ask to say, hey, let's grab 10 minutes by phone. What companies are you looking for? What are you interested in? What's the kind of work that you do? Right in the moment, get on your LinkedIn profile and find someone to introduce them to right there and then. That is the fastest, most efficient way versus all these emails going back and forth. And that 10 minutes that you spend with that friend that's been let go, helping them get in gear is probably going to be one of the most memorable things that they can recall later on when they're on the other side of this. So great way to help and not a lot of time.
All right. This has been awesome. Thanks to all of you who have been offering your questions and chatting. A really great discussion. JT, where can people find you to get more information about you?
Yeah, well, obviously you can find me here on LinkedIn. So I would love it if you, I produce a newsletter here on LinkedIn every week. Would love it if you follow it there. I'm also on TikTok. I'm a huge TikTok fan. So come follow me there as well. And you can always come visit us if you need help at workitdaily.com.
All right, Amy. So Together Digital, you have a career event coming up. Tell us a little bit about that.
We do. So this is our third virtual career fair. So this is an opportunity for anyone to attend, members or non-members. It is free for job seekers. It's going to be a half-day event that allows you to network with organizations that are looking to hire in their virtual open booths. Also, if you submit your resume through the profile information that you get prompted to fill out when you register, your resume will be shared, and there's a chance that one of those or a number of those companies could request to meet with you in a 15-minute one-on-one interview. Outside of that, we're also offering a panel discussion of a number of recruiters as well that are going to talk about why they hire, what they're looking for, what makes people stand out from the rest when it comes to looking through a sea of resumes. And then we're also going to be doing, as I mentioned earlier, a workshop with Danielle Hughes talking about how to brand your career. She also has that philosophy of personality branding, which is also tremendous. And then we're doing another workshop in partnership with Own Trail. If you've not checked out Own Trail, it is a fantastic visualization of your career path, and not just like into the future, but in your past. And what it really does is it helps to kind of create a vision and a plan for where you want to go. So if you are a visual person and you love kind of creating timelines and benchmarks and goals, Katie McBradley is the co-founder of that organization, and she's going to talk about creating your own career map as well. So I'm hoping, it's just something that allows job seekers a little bit of respite. We're going to do an ask and give exchange so they can find some solutions in solidarity as a peer group. Those two amazing workshops. And then again, the opportunity to meet, at least virtually face to face, some amazing organizations. So it's it's a ton of work on our end on the back end to do this, but every time we do, the vibe is so good, even for a virtual event, the outcome, we love hearing stories about women landing new jobs, new careers, companies growing their pipelines. So if you're an interested job seeker, you can check us out. It's our website is www.togetherindigital.com. And then under events, you can see the career fair there as well. And you've got the link right up there. Thank you so much, Amanda. So yes, I would love to help as many of you as we can. I know it's a difficult and challenging time when you're job seeking. So yeah, we want to be there for you and help you.
All right, sounds great. And I just want to run through a couple resources real quick. After this live stream, you could head over to our Slack channel where we're going to continue the discussion. And actually, this is where we got the topic from. There's a lot of great discussion and help over there. So here is the link if you'd like to join. You might have to answer a few questions first to get in, but cmi.media/invitation. And then our good friend, Dennis Shao, he runs a content marketing meetup group in the Bay Area. However, he's holding a virtual event tomorrow for marketers looking for a new role. So there'll be, there were a ton of people on there. So here's the link as well. We'll get that in the comments as well. And finally, if you're looking for some career guidance from an awesome content marketing mentor, we have opened our applications for the CMI mentorship program. So if you're interested in that, head over to cmi.media/mentorship and hopefully apply there. So thank you again so much, both of you, for sharing your awesome advice with our community. Thanks to everyone out there as well. And I will see you next time.